Hi, my name is Barb Dupree, and I like writing stories. I'm going to tell you a story that I recently wrote. It's called The Seed That Thought She Was a Rock. This is a story about a little sunflower seed named Jasper, who grew up as a rock. She learned to be tough like a rock, to hold everything in, and to stay strong. She even looked like a rock, just a little bit smaller and a little bit slimmer. But Jasper was so tough, nobody could tell she was a seed. Even she didn't know. She just thought she was a different kind of rock. As a youngster, growing up in Rock City, all the kids and all the adults were rocks. At the store, there were rocks. On the bus, all rocks. They were all so tough. They were all so strong. They were all hard as a rock. Jasper played with the little rocks at school, where she was taught how to be a good rock. She learned all about life as a grown-up rock in Rock City, where a rock's main job was to hit and roll and pile and crush against other rocks. But Jasper had a big secret. A secret she kept ever since she was a youngster. Rocks are not supposed to feel anything, and Jasper could feel. She could feel a lot, actually. Every time she hit and crushed against the other little rocks, she felt it. Every time she rolled and piled with the rocks, she felt that too. Jasper didn't know she was a seed, so she kept on trying to be a good rock. Thankfully, as she grew up, her little shell became so tough from all the years of being hit and crushed by the other rocks that she was pretty much protected. But she still felt it, and it still hurt. But rocks aren't supposed to feel. So when Jasper grew up, she went to work in Rock City with her big, tough sunflower seed shell. It was a rough life in Rock City. Jasper did a lot of hard stuff. She did the toughest jobs, like hitting and crushing and piling and rolling, as big rocks are supposed to do. She worked with the biggest and toughest rocks, and because she could feel things, it hurt. Every job she got harder and harder, and she hurt more and more each year. But she didn't want to talk about how difficult it was. She didn't want the other rocks to think she wasn't as tough as them, because rocks aren't supposed to get hurt. They're supposed to be strong and resilient. Rocks aren't supposed to feel. So she kept it to herself and pretended she couldn't feel and tried to be a good rock. In her mind, she thought, maybe I'm just not strong enough. I'm not a very good rock. But Jasper wasn't a rock. She was a seed. Jasper kept trying to fit into the tough life of Rock City. It was just getting too hard. She didn't understand why she was the only one who felt hurt. Rocks aren't supposed to feel. But then she heard a little voice in her head speak up and say, "Strength is in noticing." She then noticed her tough shell and the hard stuff she did every day with the biggest, toughest rocks. But she said, "What's the point? Rocks aren't supposed to feel." But Jasper could feel. Jasper was ready to give up. But then she heard the little voice in her head quietly whisper, "Once you were free." And a memory popped in her head of playing in the countryside with the birds and the flowers and the worms, a memory of freedom outside of Rock City, when she felt exactly where she belonged she could be herself without getting hurt quite as often. She felt very tired, tired of feeling, tired of being crushed by the other rocks, and tired of pretending it didn't hurt. Then the voice said, "Strength is in listening." And Jasper said, "If I'm tired, maybe I should rest." Jasper left Rock City. She went to rest in the country and lay down in the warm soil in the sun, where there were no rocks around, only worms and birds and flowers. She gave herself some rest. And just like her warm memory, she let the sun shine on her face. She let the rain pour down on her. And each day she sank deeper into the earth. And finally, she fell asleep. However, much to her surprise, she didn't stop feeling things at all. Actually, it was the opposite. Inside her, she felt a warmth, a warm feeling inside that started very small. Each day she lay under the sun, the feeling grew and grew into an intense swelling within. Jasper's shell was very strong and tough, so she held it in. She tried to keep the feelings inside, because rocks aren't supposed to feel. But the feeling grew and grew and grew. Each day it became more and more difficult to contain. But Jasper still thought she was a rock. "Will I explode?" she thought. "Will I burst into 1,000 pieces and turn into sand?" So she held on tight to keep the feelings inside. Now remember, Jasper was a sunflower seed. One tough sunflower seed that could almost pass for a rock. But no matter how tough the shell, all seeds are designed to sprout. When they are given proper soil and sun and rain and allowed to rest, they will sprout and grow. This is what was happening to Jasper. Her little body was doing exactly what it was made for, to blossom into a beautiful flower. But she didn't understand the feelings inside of her. She thought she was a rock, and rocks aren't supposed to feel. So inside her tough shell, the flower grew. The stem grew longer and thicker. The leaves unfolded. The branches extended outwards. Her body was doing exactly what it was designed to do, but it was all happening inside of her strong shell. The growing flower was taking up more and more space, and the warm feelings inside became so strong it was overwhelming. She wasn't sure if she could hold on any longer, so she held her breath. But right when the feelings became unbearable, a little voice in her head said, louder than ever, "Strength is in letting go." Jasper let go of her breath and relaxed. And then, snap, a crack appeared. A little crack at the top of her tough shell. "What's this?" Jasper wondered. "A crack? Rocks don't crack. They break. But I did not break. I only cracked." Then she looked up to see a little baby sunflower starting to peek out from the crack, like yellow hair on top of her shell head. "What's this?" she thought. "A blossom? Rocks don't grow flowers. They can't grow at all. And I feel so much inside. Rocks don't feel. They don't even have an inside." And Jasper started to wonder, am I even a rock? She had a shell, but rocks don't have shells. They are solid all the way through. Shells are very strong, but they're not unbreakable. Finally, Jasper realized, I'm a seed. I'm not a rock. I'm not even a shell. I have a shell. My shell was made to protect me, but also made to break when I'm ready to grow. I'm a flower. So I don't need to be a good rock. I don't need to hold in my feelings, and I can grow. And so she let it go, because shells are meant to crack, and seeds are meant to feel, and flowers are meant to blossom and grow. And so she did. She let her shell split apart, while the stem grew up and up. As the shell opened, her whole mass of green foliage uncurled and extended upward toward the sun. And as she grew, the tiny shell, now split apart, was still carried upwards upon the top of her yellow flower head, until she finally let go of that too, when her flower face opened up and bloomed. Jasper smiled down at the little shell pieces laying at the base of her stem. She thanked her old self that kept her safe from the rough and tough rocks for so long. And she smiled as the worms curled over the shell pieces and brought them beneath the ground to turn into soil and food for the next seed that will sprout into a flower, just like her. What a beautiful ending to the hard life of a shell. And then she turned her big yellow flower face towards the sun. She glowed while she soaked in the warmth. Jasper feels. She feels everything. And it's wonderful to feel. The end. Thank you for listening to my story.